Many Americans believe buying property in Mexico is simple. They imagine finding a beautiful condo near the ocean, signing a few papers, and enjoying their new home in the sun. But what many buyers don't realize is that some legal mistakes can cost thousands of dollars. And in rare cases, people have even lost the property entirely because of legal problems they didn't understand at the beginning. And the surprising part? Most of these problems happen before the buyer even realizes something is wrong. If you're an American thinking about buying property in Mexico, there are several legal risks you should clearly understand before signing anything. First, it's important to understand something very clearly. Foreigners can legally own property in Mexico. In fact, millions of Americans and Canadians already own homes here. Many buyers purchase property in Mexico for retirement, vacation homes, or investment opportunities. However, the legal system in Mexico works very differently from the United States. The buying process usually involves several important legal elements, including Mexican property law, a government-appointed legal official called a Notario Público, and in many areas a bank trust structure known as a fideicomiso. If any of these steps are skipped, that's when serious legal problems can appear later. Legal risk number 1, Ejido land. One of the most important legal risks to understand involves something called Ejido land. Ejido land is communal land that historically belonged to local farming communities in Mexico. For many years, Ejido land could not legally be sold as private property. Today, some Ejido land has been legally converted into private property. But the conversion process must be completed through official government procedures. The problem is that some buyers see attractive land at a very low price and assume it's a normal real estate transaction. But if the land is still classified as Ejido and has not been fully privatized, the buyer may never receive legal ownership. This is why verifying the legal status of land is extremely important before purchasing property. Legal risk number 2, notario verification. Another key element in Mexican real estate transactions is the Notario Público. In the United States, a notary usually only verifies signatures. But in Mexico, a notario has much more responsibility. A notario is a government-appointed legal professional who verifies that the entire property transaction is legal. They confirm things like the property's legal ownership, whether taxes have been paid, whether the title is clear of disputes, and whether the sale can legally proceed. If a property is sold without proper notario review, buyers may inherit serious legal problems connected to the property. Legal risk number 3, fideicomiso confusion. In coastal areas and regions close to international borders, foreigners usually purchase property through a structure called a fideicomiso. A fideicomiso is a bank trust that allows foreigners to legally control property within restricted zones. The bank holds the title in trust, but the buyer keeps full rights to live in the property, sell the property, rent the property, or pass the property to heirs. However, problems can occur when buyers do not properly verify the trust documentation. For example, the trust may not be correctly established, the bank registration may be incomplete, or the previous owner's trust may not have been properly transferred. Understanding the fideicomiso structure is essential for foreign buyers. Legal risk number 4, skipping due diligence. Another mistake some buyers make is relying too heavily on informal information. For example, trusting only a real estate agent, accepting the seller's word, or assuming that a listing guarantees everything is legal. But proper due diligence should always include verifying property title, property tax history, legal registration records, and ownership documentation. These checks help confirm that the property has no unresolved legal issues. Skipping this step may save time in the beginning, but it can create serious problems later. The good news is that most of these legal risks are completely avoidable. Thousands of Americans successfully purchase property in Mexico every year. The key is simply understanding the legal structure before buying and working with qualified professionals during the process. When the correct steps are followed, owning property in Mexico can be safe and rewarding. But one of the biggest questions buyers ask next is, where are Americans actually buying property in Mexico today? In the next video, I'll show you the best places in Mexico for Americans to buy property, including locations that are growing fast and attracting international buyers. So make sure to watch that video next.